of Agriculture. She's done a lot of research, insect releasing, I should say, with for citrus greening and stuff like that. So she's going to go ahead and she's going to go ahead and kick us off, and then we might have some people from USDA that are going to be talking about some of the other things as well. All right, there you go. It's all you.
Okay, great. If anybody's interested, I am part of a family that used to have a nursery, and there is a story behind T's Nursery Road, and that's probably for another day. But I've been with the Texas Department of Agriculture for 9 years in Citrus Health Response Program, and I only look at citrus, and that's in the 9 years I've come across quite a few different things and all, and right now, I think most of your citrus probably is going to look like this. Not very attractive. There's freeze damage. I mean, that's pretty much it. I wrapped some of my citrus. Some of them I didn't wrap. Is that still showing?
No, it kicked off.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you probably just go
Something
back.
Kicked me off.
Yeah, just go back to reshare it.
Okay, let's go back. It could be my internet. I'm not sure.
There you go. You're back up.
Okay, there we go. All right, I see it now. Okay. Let's see if I can get to the next slide now.
I think, yeah, I can do that for you, actually. Actually, up at the top, there should be some arrows up there.
There's a shared content,
Okay.
and I apologize, I'm not very good at this.
See, use your arrow key and see if it'll work that way.
It does it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you just tell me and I'll click the slides. How about that?
Okay, well you can, I'm just buffering right now, so you can move to the next slide if it'll go.
Yep, got it.
There we go. There we go. Okay. But the citrus mostly is going to look pretty frozen right now. And whether to cut it back or not, that's really going to be up to you. Is it moving along? All I see is this first slide.
Yep, there you go. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we go. And whether or not to cut it back or not, I'm an impatient person. I cut my citrus back. I'm starting to see signs of life on my kumquat, which wasn't covered, and also on a Satsuma orange is starting to come back, but really doesn't. I mean, the real damage may not show up yet. The tree could have stored energy in it and just flushing out new leaves, and it could die later. So it's a wait and see kind of thing on that. But when I was first hired, my main focus was citrus greening, and I was hired in 2011, and right after I was hired, they found citrus greening in the valley. You can see it's an irregular model in the leaves. Doesn't show like a nutrient deficiency. Nutrient deficiencies are really going to be pretty uniform on both sides of the leaf. This is just real irregular. But I have seen, since citrus greening was found really in the Houston area about 2015, and it's really gotten pretty far loose in the area. You can get the next one. Next slide, please. No. There we go.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's characteristic of citrus greening too is it doesn't have to show up. At first, it doesn't show up on the whole tree. You can see certain branches of it that may have the disease, while other branches could be perfectly green. but it's a bacterial infection on the tree, and once it's in the vascular system, there hasn't been a found cure. I know there is some research going on in this with some other citrus plants, but right now there's not an economically viable cure for it. There has been some injections tried on it, but the price of the chemicals and all really, it doesn't justify, the return on it. So you can move on. Next slide, please.
Okay, the one with the fruit.
Yeah, go ahead and show that.
Yeah, it's there.
Oh, I'm not seeing it.
You're buffering.
I'm buffering.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so yeah, you've got it. Looking at the fruit.
The fruit. One of the characteristics of citrus greening is that the fruit's going to be an irregular shape on it. It's not going to be uniform. It's going to taste pretty bad. One of the problems initially is that the growers in the valley were hesitant to remove their trees because they were still producing and they could still juice the oranges and all. But really, the more you have of it, the harder it gets to control, and it's pretty widespread down in the valley. The times I've been down there, the biggest problem is not so much the groves of trees. Now, there are some unattended groves of citrus trees, but the real problem is the homeowners, because there's a lot of people that have a citrus tree that really just don't really want to remove the tree, or don't really care about the consequences on it. So I'm still back on that other slide. So can you move on to the next one?
Yep.
Will it let you?
Yep, you just did it.
Okay. I did. What did I do? I'm still seeing the citrus greening can only be visible in parts of the tree. So
okay.
I should. What is the next slide?
Oops, there we go. Misshapen fruit, maybe bitter to taste. It was the grapefruit.
Right. It's a bitter taste and all, and all. The citrus greening is we're in citrus greening quarantine counties. I don't know if you may have seen the sign going to Huntsville that you're now leaving a quarantine area. Well, the quarantine areas in our region are Montgomery, Harris, Fort Bend counties, and then recently added was Brazoria and Galveston counties. Those are all quarantined, which means you can bring in a citrus plant from wherever you buy it from, but it can't leave that area because of the possibility that it has citrus greening. And if you buy a plant, it's going to have a tag on it that says it'll have a quarantine area tag on the tree. The labeling's been a big issue lately because now the new trees have to have a propagation date. The last date it was treated with an insecticide, and that's mandatory. You cannot buy a newly produced organically grown citrus tree. They all have a systemic insecticide to prevent the insects that carry the disease. I don't know where I am on this slide thing.
Go ahead and try to hit your arrow key and shift, like click on your presentation and just hit your arrow key, because I got a cell phone jacked up in here and I'm looking, and I'm on number 7. So
okay.
There you yep. Okay, so
that's
you're on
the misshapen. Okay, that's the misshapen fruit. Okay, there we go. The disease, the citrus greening is spread by a little insect, and the pictures of it can be kind of misleading. It's about the size of an aphid. It's an Asian citrus psyllid, or we sometimes refer to it as ACP or just a psyllid. But the distinguishing thing about a psyllid very small, but its tail sticks up. You see how that happens. Um, that's that's the thing. Now, if you have if you've seen these on your tree, it doesn't necessarily mean that your tree has citrus greening. I kind of relate it to mosquito. Mosquitoes may carry West Nile virus, but not necessarily. These may carry citrus greening, but not necessarily. When we run across the psyllids at a nursery, we will try to collect some, and the labs can test the psyllids to see if they are carrying the disease or not. But if you see these on your tree, go ahead and spray them. I mean, a fruit tree spray and a general insecticide will take care of the problem on this. Uh, um, and also the other stages of the psyllids, you can see different parts of the life stages on them. You can see how the tail sticks up, but also the larvae stage, they put out this little white excrement that I kind of have this real technical term on it. I call it the squigglies. If you see the squiggly things on there, then that's a sign that you have Asian citrus psyllids. But they do need to be sprayed and controlled. Hopefully, this cold weather, our freezopolis, or whatever you want to call it, hopefully that killed them down for a little while. But I feel like they're going to be back too. But this is a very big problem. If you see this, then the tree is destined to die, and probably would be best to remove the tree. It can be tested. Texas A&M Kevin Ong's lab can test it. The Plant Diagnostic Center, and we also send samples down to the Citrus Center in Weslaco to test for this. And this goes into the quarantine counties. I don't know if you can read that or not, but there's also quarantine counties in the coastal bend, like in our region. Calhoun County is all, in addition to the counties I listed before. There's Calhoun County around Corpus Christi, Port Lavaca, that area, and then quite a few of the valley counties also have citrus greening. So if the counties are not listed, then we need to know if another county, adjoining county, has this disease, because then that would probably put that county under a quarantine also. But I have left some information at the office, and I can bring some more by on the citrus greening and some of the citrus problems that we're having in this area. This is the big one that we're fighting right now, is citrus canker. Citrus canker, you can see it's a very, very ugly disease. It looks like blisters on the fruit. It's really characterized by lesions, and on the leaves, the lesions are going to be visible on the top and the bottom of the leaves, and then you can see what it does to the fruit.
She said when it's going to be a cold winter, the caterpillars will be fuzzier.
Really?
I'm sorry, is there a question here? This is what we're really fighting on right now, is the citrus canker. It has been found in the South Houston area from roughly around Hobby Airport, and it kind of goes in a broken smiley face and goes all the way over to Sugar Land and Richmond, and all. But the problem with the citrus canker is spread by wind, by rain, by touch. The lawn mowing crews can do it. If you see this fruit, you really don't want to buy it or bring it home to your house, because it could infect your trees. There's no cure for this, and currently, right now, we're in the process of removing 700 trees that we've identified over the past year, because there is no cure. We're trying to stop the spread. The strain of citrus canker that we have in our area is it really affects all citrus. Now, there is a strain in the valley that only affects lemons and limes, and that's not too bad there because their main crops are oranges and grapefruits. So, but our strain, we really don't want it down there, so we're trying to remove as many of the trees to slow down the movement. There also is some research that's starting up now that we're collecting. Some of my USDA counterparts have collected samples to see if the disease made it through the freeze or not. So if the freeze killed the disease, that's going to be very good news for us, but more than likely it's still going to be in the ground. So we're very, very concerned about citrus canker at this point. This is our main focus right now. On the other leaves, you can see that there's a raised spot, and like I said, it's on both sides, but there's also like a yellow halo that goes around the leaf. But on older damage, sometimes it doesn't have a halo on it. They're just raised kind of pimply looking spots on there. Oops. It can also appear on the bark of the tree also. On severe cases, it'll show on the leaves probably first, but you can also see it on the bark of the trees. And this slide just is a simple slide. It's showing like the ways that can carry the canker, and they get very concerned when we have hurricane or wind event because this can only distribute the disease even further. We first found it in Houston around the Braeswood, not too far from NRG Park, but now, like I said, it's spread to different areas of in the south part of Houston. So we're just really, really worried about it right now. That's, like I said, it's our main focus. But in addition, there are other things that you need to be aware of. As master gardeners, you may be asked to help diagnose some different problems. One of the things before citrus greening and citrus canker appeared was one of the big problems is citrus rust mites. And to a lot of people, they've told me, oh, that's just sunburn. No, it's a rust mite. It's a type of spider mite that affects your fruit and all. Probably doesn't affect the quality of the fruit too much, but having the mites on the trees is going to affect the overall health of the tree, and overall it will slow the production of the tree, and possibly even kill the tree. So rust mites is something to be very aware of, and it's gonna sometimes. It will look like just your spider mite type of damage, but sometimes it's not this obvious. It may be, but you will feel like a dusty kind of, the leaves will feel kind of dusty to you. And you can always use like the white paper test where you take the leaves and slap it on a piece of white paper, and sometimes you'll see the mites on the paper too. But rust mites is definitely a problem. The most common problem I see is citrus leaf miner. And everybody's probably going to ask you, well, I have these lines on my leaves and my leaves are all curling, and probably 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a citrus leaf miner, which y'all should be familiar with. And as it gets older, the leaf miner does get a little bit browner. And all, but the problem in the areas with citrus canker is that the leaf miner weakens the leaf where the citrus canker can also get in there. So if you're in an area that has citrus canker, it's very important to try to control the leaf miners also. Now there's some diseases that look like citrus canker, but they're not. And one that's very common, especially right now, is greasy spot, and it kind of looks like grease spots on the leaf. It's very similar, but the lesions are not raised on there. And they can have the halos, but it's not going to be a raised spot. on the leaf. Greasy spot is a fungus, and it can be controlled. I don't know that you could ever say it would be cured. I don't think any disease is ever truly cured, but it can be controlled with fungicides. It's another shot of greasy spot. I've seen it in several different forms. Sometimes one of the first times I saw it, it was just big yellow spots all over the leaves and all it, and but then in time it just turns into these spots on the leaves and all. But they will not be raised. It'll be pretty flat, and sometimes it's only on one side of the leaf too. So and very similar looking to it is citrus melanose. It's also little spots on the leaves. Not so much the yellow halos. It too is a fungus and can be controlled with fungicides. And then there's some leaf spots, the alternaria leaf spot. It can also, most of these other ones are that look like canker but aren't. They're going to be a fungus of some type, and pretty much the control would be the same thing. It is a fungicide that's compatible with fruit trees. Now, there's several different types of scale that can affect citrus trees like other plants. This is one of the soft scales. And I think I have slides of some other scales here in a minute. And now this I've run across. I haven't seen a great deal of damage, but it's just, it looks almost too uniform to be something insect, but it is a katydid eggs and all. And the katydids, I've looked them up. The adults will eat the leaves and all, and so it's probably not a good thing to have them. A general fruit tree insecticide probably would take care of that. Another thing that has been a concern, it's not that big of a concern to us right now, is sweet orange scab, and it just looks like little scabs on the fruit and all. And here again, this is a fungus that can be controlled. It's really an appearance thing. It doesn't affect the quality of the fruit, but it does appear quite often and all. And here again, it can be controlled. This is another type of scale. It's the same, looks like the same kind of scale that gets on camellias, but I've seen it on citrus also, just a snow scale. And then there's soft brown scale. I mean, there's different ones, but they're all can be a pest on citrus plants. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out, this shows us a type of scale with ants. When you have ants on a tree, the ants are there because there's an insect problem. It may not be scale, it may be aphids, it may be something else, but the ants are just farming the insects so they can get the honeydew off of them. They're just out looking for food, actually. The ants themselves don't usually cause a problem there, but it is an indicator that you do have an insect problem. I mean, we don't want ants anyway, but that's an indicator that there's insects there and they're trying to get something off of it. Mealybugs, that's a pretty hard one to control, but that can also be a problem on your citrus. And then the aphids, like I said before, and sometimes it's hard to tell the nymphs of the Asian citrus psyllids from the aphids, but you'll see the excrement from the if it is the psyllids, you'll see their excrement, whereas the aphids really are more into the honeydew, and you'll see the ants, and eventually with the honeydew that produces a black mold on the trees like other plants will do. But aphids can be a problem. When you see the new growth or the younger growth starting to curl in there, then that's an indication you have an insect problem too. So just be aware of that. Um, I haven't seen a lot of it, but a lady found one of these in Houston, the citrus weevil, and it is definitely a problem. If you ever see this type of thing, then let us know. We need to know about that this has infested our area. Now, something else you'll be probably asked as master gardeners is nutrient deficiency. There's citrus are pretty heavy feeders, and if you notice the ones in the nursery and in the box stores, they have a date that they were propagated. They'll have a propagated date on a lot of the labels now, and the growers get these trees to a pretty large size, a saleable size in just a matter of a year or a little longer. And that's because they feed them a lot. These citrus can be pretty heavy feeders and all, but with the fertilization also comes new growth, which is attractive to insects. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You have to really kind of watch these to make sure that the insects aren't attacking. And a chart of some of the different deficiencies, it's not a regulatory concern. I've just put it in here for your information on there. And this is also going to be available to you. I mean, I can share the PowerPoint with you, and I know that they're recording it right now, but this is also available online, the different deficiencies that can affect the citrus, and the nutrients that help for certain things, the fruit enlargement, the flowering, the fruit set, post-harvest, that type of thing, different things for different times. And I know a lot of the fertilizer companies do have a special citrus formula. Myself, I generally use like a MagriLife on mine, but they've been pretty self-sufficient the last few years, and I haven't had to give them a whole lot. But personally, I don't want my citrus to get 20 feet tall. I want to be able to pick them, so I try to keep them at a smaller size. Magnesium deficiency is one you may run into. I've seen a few people that have had that. Iron deficiency is pretty classic because of the green veins. That's a classic sign. Zinc's pretty common in these also, in poorly fertilized plants. Nitrogen's just pure yellow. Another thing, I get asked this a lot, is there's like a mechanical damage that happens to the fruit. It could be a bird, it could be rubbing against something, but that's not really an insect damage. There's no reason to really go out and spray that tree because of this. I mean, there's something that's causing that. Doesn't affect the fruit quality, just really the appearance. Sometimes in years we have uneven watering or uneven moisture. If we go through a dry period and then we get a lot of rain, sometimes the fruit grows too fast and it cracks, and so that can be a problem there. So a lot of citrus trees, you'll get a question, why is my tree dying? And there is no good answer to this. A lot of times it could be a combination of some of the things that we've already talked about. There's other things that are affecting trees that we are really not testing for at this point. My feeling is that really that sometimes the tree just gets to the end of its life cycle and it just gets weak, and a strong tree is going to be more healthy by feeding it and keeping it well attended to. So there could be a number of different things, a combination of things. I know in the Sugarland area where we spend a lot of time, a lot of the trees that have citrus canker also appear to have citrus greening on them also. So a weakened tree is going to be more likely to have some problems to it. There's things like, these are things that we test for it sometimes from the grower Tristasia. There's citrus cachexia, some spray burns. There's just a number of different diseases. So I don't really have all the answers, but this should cover quite a few of your problems that you would normally see. So I'm open for any questions if you have them. I mean, this is basically my presentation, and I know I probably have talked too fast, so if I need to go back, then let me know.
Just a reminder, folks, you can type them in the chat if you want to. That way nobody's talking over each other.
Pardon me. You keep your tree small too? This is Tricia. You keep your tree small too? I keep mine about 10 foot tall.
I try to keep them to the point where I can reach them. I don't really want to climb on a ladder anymore and try to have to pick them. So this freeze is helping me too.
Well, mine's dead. It looks dead, but I'm not touching it yet. I keep it about 10 by 10 all the way around and about 10 foot tall. Because I got a little picker, I can get them.
Right, that's good. I'm trying to keep them at my arm's length now. My kumquat was getting a little bit taller, but with this freeze, I was able to trim it back, and it is starting to come back.
Yeah, my kumquat was little bitty in it for the top rows, but all the bottom stayed green.
I think it'll be back, but check it. Just watch it and see if the bark splits later. Then that's kind of a delayed freeze reaction too, and that's kind of the same thing that I've seen in past years on azaleas too. That they come back out because they have stored food in there, but then they die, and there's a vascular problem in there.
So I could go ahead and feed it?
I don't know how active you can try to feed it. I don't know how active the how much they're uptaking right now. I might maybe try to wait a little bit until a few more leaves start coming on and see, because if the ground's still pretty cool, and if they're not actively absorbing anything, then the fertilizer will just wash away.
Okay, because the leaves are all brown and there's not very much growth right now.
Just make sure. Yeah, just make sure you're not hitting it with a high nitrogen type fertilizer. You don't want to knock. If it decides that it wants to bloom, then it'll knock all the blooms off of it. So just be careful with that.
Okay, it was magnesium, a lower dosage, and calcium.
Right. It should be in a good fertilizer, good citrus mix. And being from the Department of Agriculture, we really can't recommend certain chemicals like you can, because our agency regulates a lot of the pesticides and things that are sold. So I can tell you that I use like a AgriLife on my citrus and really on everything, but that's just me personally. I don't recommend that. But that's
yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of good things out there.
AgriLife is a wonderful thing.
But it's not the only thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not. There's a lot of other things that are out there that are good. A lot of other non-organic fertilizers, and really, to tell you the truth, that the growers are using those, and all, but with the insecticides that they use, if you buy a new tree, I would personally feel, personally, even though they say it's safe, I wouldn't eat the fruit for the first year just to let the systemics work their way out of the plant. I mean, I don't know how long they're active for, but that's just me. They may be perfectly safe, but I'd rather err on the side of safety.
Well, I would too. Thank you very much for that information. If I have to buy another Keisha mandarin.
I have a question.
Right. Well, yeah.
My Satsuma has all very brown dead leaves. Should I leave those leaves to fall off naturally, or are they impeding the growth of any new leaves on the branches? So should I take off the leaves, or I just leave them and
I I I don't have a good answer for that, but I got impatient. I don't like seeing the brown things, so I did my citrus right now look kind of like a crepe myrtle would. They're pretty, I wouldn't do anything further back than like a crepe myrtle. I do a little bit of structural uh, pruning to them too to get out the crossing limbs, but really I only prune back to about a pencil size.
I
But
did
that's
notice
just me.
I did notice the ends of them were dead, but down halfway down there's green. So I guess I should prune down to that point.
Yes, I would. I mean that I don't see any harm. Mine's starting to leaf out. It's got little bitty sprouts on it now. Now
Uh,
be aware that if we have a hard freeze, which
Yep.
I don't know the answer to that, then the new growth could get affected by that.
Yep, all the way till April 1st.
Your big comforter and a big piece of tarp, plastic.
Okay, somebody asked about their lemon. It looks dead. I mean, just check it and see. The Meyer lemons are probably the least hardiest of any of the citrus. The Meyer lemons and the Mexican limes are the most likely to probably have frozen. They just don't have the hardiness as some of the other citrus. So just watch it and see. Just take a thumbnail and scratch it, see if it's green or not. And not all. A lot of Meyer lemons that are sold right now are not grafted. They're not a grafted plant. A lot of them. There was a change in the law in the legislature that that moved to putting citrus in certified structures, that everything had to be grafted, and the one company got it changed where they could be grown from cuttings. So a lot of the merlins now are grown from cuttings. So I just can't, without looking at it, I can't tell. In a normal year, how often would you fertilize? I
Twice.
mean, probably twice, two to three times.
Yep.
But here again, be aware that when you fertilize it, you're bringing on new growth, which attracts the insects. So be prepared to spray too.
Okay.
Leaf miners are one of my concerns. I understand the best way is to give them something at the roots, systemic, because the topical chemicals don't seem to do much.
It's a matter of timing. You have to be extremely precise on timing in order to get the leaf miners. Otherwise, then a more, having a systemic will at least allow you to not have to be so much of a micromanager.
Leaf miners are a nocturnal insect. You don't. I can't honestly say that I've actually seen the insect that's a leaf miner. You just see the damage of it, but they come at night, and so that affects some of the things. Also, rotating your different sprays can can help on that. And one of the growers told me that if you have a bug zapper at night, you have to put the lures in there too, but a bug zapper will eliminate about 75% of the leaf miners. And not a total, it would help.
All righty.
Do you have my contact information on here? If I can't always answer the phone, but if you get a question about something, I feel free to text me a picture, and I'll get back to you. That would be the best way is to send me a picture of something, and I can possibly help you out. And if it's something we know the citrus green has been identified in Montgomery County, so I'll identify it, but we're at this point we're not removing the trees. That would be up to the homeowner. But if you see any of these other things that may be of concern to you, then please let me know. I don't know if my USDA counterparts, Amaris or Janis, have gotten on or not. I guess not.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to join us. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't see anybody.
That's okay. But we're more than happy. There's some other things that are coming down the pike, but and we really don't want to talk about them right now. We don't want to get you too excited about them. This is hopefully will help you identify certain problems that people come to you and ask you advice on, because I know a lot of you have to answer the phones there and help people with their problems. So more than happy to help you out any way we can. And like I said, I've left some brochures with y'all if you need any additional. They're mostly about the greening and the canker, so please feel free to contact me.
All right, Janis, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's being from South Texas and everything, I kind of grew up with citrus down there in the Corpus area and stuff like that, and we've seen a lot of differences and a lot of different things happen over the years, and I appreciate your expertise just adding to the fuel here. So we definitely
I can't say that I was always a citrus expert, but in 9 years you kind of learn a few things.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's it's always kind of good to have that extra. So we're glad to have you kind of around and glad to have you helping us out. So we really appreciate it.
Okay.
I know our master gardeners do as well.
Great. All right. Well, y'all take care.
All righty. Thank you. And y'all have a great one. Thanks, everybody.
Right.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Janis. Very helpful.